moving on to our next session. In 2021, we see a greater emphasis on higher and faster growth in organizations that emerges from a need to not be left behind in the pace of continuous disruption. We've talked about hybrid workplaces, innovation in the way we do business, and collaboration. In keeping up with the technological momentum, organizations often overlook the importance of upskilling the workforce to support their growth objectives. Our speakers today represent two organizations who have recognized this skill gap and have harnessed the benefits of learning technology to make their workforce job ready and disruption proof. And it is our privilege to have with us Mohammad Edi Isviato, former Human Capital Director, PT, Pegadaiya, and Shweta Kumar, Chief Learning Architect, Dispers. Edi comes with almost 30 years of experience in sales, marketing, operations, HR, and finance. He has played crucial roles in turning around the business and was playing a central role in transformation initiatives at Pegadaiya to make it most valuable financial company in Indonesia. Shweta has worked with clients and companies in India, Africa, Middle East, Latin America in the areas of organizational transformation, team capability enhancement, leadership development, and culture change. Prior to this, she was the CEO of OD Alternatives. Welcome, Edi and Shweta. Thank you so much for joining us for this session.
Pleasure being here, Yasmin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Edi, it's really good to have you on board. Your organization is the largest pawnbroking company in Indonesia. I'm curious to know, with the significant disruptions that pawnbroking market has seen since the last few years, what are the kind of challenges you have seen at a workplace level, and how has it changed since the onset of the pandemic?
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. So I like to talk about slightly around the background of PT Pegadaian because I think that's important. First is that Pegadaian has been established 120 years ago, and in 2019 we started our transformations. Up to 2016, actually we operated in a monopolistic market. This is important. So that's why we have on the left hand side of the screen, we have all the three challenges that we have is developing capabilities, cultivating cultures, and technology adoptions, because that were not so needed back at the time. And certainly during the sessions, I will talk about the developing capabilities. That's the challenges. And as for the transformations itself, we already set our sight that we like to be the most valuable financial company with some financial measures that we like to achieve within 5 years. And certainly we also like to become the Indonesia's first choice of financial inclusion agents. And as for the next slide, please. And as for the disruption, so apart from the transformations agenda, we also have the disruptions. On the left-hand side, you see that financial services are very much prone to the technology disruptions. And as for us, in addition to that, on the right side, you see that there are some internal issues, which is more the aging customers that we have so far. And then we also have with the deregulations of the pawnbroking market now, there are some competitions out there from private companies, as well as the substitute. So there are the internal issues, the external issues in form of competitions from the similar industry, like from the similar companies, and as well as from a fintech and other substitutes. Other substitutes include what you call the program, the government has a program to improve the situations due to the pandemic for the small and medium enterprises, and the government gives a lot of stimulus. That is also our disruptions in the marketplace. And so coming back to the previous slide, we do not need to go to the other slide, the previous slide, but capabilities is one of the biggest issue that we have to overcome. And to be honest, learning technologies help us a lot on that area. I think that's the situations that we are facing right now.
Thank you so much, Parthi. I think yes, there are external factors and there are internal challenges, and I think building a culture of learning, developing capabilities is going to be very
Yeah,
crucial in companies who want to move forward
yeah,
and and become more successful than they are today. So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. I'll
yeah.
come to you next now, Shweta. Parthi spoke about the need to have a skilled workforce, and a skilled take on disruption. As a learning expert, what is your take on the importance of continuous engaging and skilling? And how does it help align with business objectives?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yasmin. And thank you so much to Pa Eddie for so beautifully illustrating, I think, in a single slide, the disruptions that I think the financial services and certainly fintech has brought in. And before I answer this question, Yasmin, as you know, I come from the human resources and L&D world, and I'm the butt of many human resources jokes. But there's one that I shared that I will share, which I thought was so relevant to what we're going to talk about today. So there's this candidate who goes to, an interview, and the HR interviewer says, "You're charging so much money. Why are you asking for so much money when you don't even have the skill sets?" And the candidate says, "Well, it's more difficult to do it when you don't know how to do your job. That's why I'm charging more money." And I thought was funny, but it becomes doubly relevant because that's what's happening to the workforce of today. People don't have the skill sets and yet are being accountable to do their roles. And if you look at learning technology, there is a lot of content available. There's a lot of learning available. But what is the overwhelmed employee, the overwhelmed human resources organization supposed to do? And this is where we found integrating learning in the flow of work, just enough learning, just at the right time is really the solution. So if we could look at the next slide. What we do is we believe in integrating learning with KPIs or whatever is the unit of performance in the organization. It could be an OKR, it could be sales, right? We integrate the learning platform with the performance management system of the organization. The KPIs as a measure is then connected, sort of linked back with, could be linked back with skills, et cetera, et cetera. And what happens is essentially from an organizational or from a human resources point of view, whether you're in BFSI or you're in tech, what you're seeing is looking at the person's employee's performance. As the employee's performance dips, the manager comes in and gives coaching, right? So it's platform enabled. The manager comes in. So we bring in the manager into the equation. There and then the manager will say, "Listen, I think your performance is dipping because you need to learn X, Y, Z," which is then translated. The point, Yasmin, I think is everybody wants to learn, but it's not about learning. It's about translating learning into action at the workplace. That's what, again, our platform really enables. And then, of course, at the end of it, you want the intelligence. I mean, you're doing all of this work. Where is the data? Because your CEO is going to ask you, what is the ROI on what is the investment that we are making? And that is where the platform, again, then gives the intelligence saying, "Hey, these are the skills being built. This is the KPI performance." And that is where we would like, and that's how we kind of created an integrated performance learning ecosystem. So that's how we would like, that's how we look at our platform. And if I could just show you some of the, the ways it happens is the business from a learner's point of view, and at Disperse, our value is the learner is at the center of the universe. So whatever from the learner's point of view, I'm checking into a single app. So today we have close to more than 150,000 Amazon employees, for example, on the Disperse platform, right? In India and potentially in different countries. They are just looking at that one app. They're saying, "Hey, okay, my performance is dropping or it's improving. I need to be focused on my performance. If my performance goes down, at the point it goes down, you look at your KPIs and sales and leads." So it's really unitized, broken down, and then the whole trend is available. So from a learner's point of view, it's very transparent. From the organization's point of view, it's very transparent. And like I said, the biggest thing to remember is organizational employees are overwhelmed. There's a lot happening. So you have to not overwhelm them further. Just give them the bite-sized learning where and when required. So that's how we look at it at Disperse.
Thanks, Shweta. Very interesting points there. I think, yes, not overwhelming employees with further learning initiatives, making it bite-sized. Very interesting point on how you have to integrate learning in the flow of work. It should not look like they're putting in extra hours or taking extra effort out to learn. So I think those are going to be very important in, deciding the future of learning in any organization. And I think also bringing the manager into the equation, integrated learning with KPI and performance, very important points there. And finally, yes, measuring learning and turning it into action. Again, very important because ROI is something I think all business leaders will look into at the end. So thank you so much for sharing that. So for our audience listening in right now, it's now time to take a quick poll, and we would love to understand from you. And we'll put it up on your screens on the chat section of your screens here. Please click there and you'll see the question pop up which says, are you looking to invest in a learning platform for your organization in the next? The options are 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, or not applicable. So I'll just take about 10 to 15 seconds for everybody to vote in, and then I'll request my team to show the screen, the results also on the screen. Let's see how much are we looking at investing in a learning platform, especially since the disruption that's taken place in the past 1.5 years and everything has become virtual. How are organizations looking at investing in a technology platform? So another 10 seconds maybe, and we'll try and look at the results. Okay, I hope everybody present has voted. We're just trying to get the results churned out. Neha, would you be able to help us with the numbers?
Yes, Yasmin, just 1 minute.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Shweta, what do you think? What would be the answer which would have
I'm
gone?
very curious, I'm very curious, Yasmin, like you, and I'm hoping that a lot of organizations,
Yes.
And I know my CHRO colleagues see the urgency already. So I'm thinking it'll be in the 1 to 3 to 3 to 6 months for those who have not invested.
The very near future, yes. Paidi, what do you think?
Yeah, certainly I'm interested to also know how the other companies would like to approach their learning path, so to speak.
Yeah. Yes, great. So just a few more seconds, I think, and then we'll be ready with the results. And for all our audience who are watching us today to know where we are.
So Yasmin, I can't share my screen.
Yeah, you can just tell us the numbers and we'll
Sure. So we have in 1 to 3 months, 14.3%. In 3 to 6, again, it's 14.3%. In 6 to 12 months, it's 21.4%. And yes, in the last, we have 50% people who have voted. Not.
Okay, interesting. Any thoughts on that, Shweta, Payadi? So it's actually opposite of what you were thinking, the kind of responses you received.
No, no, Yasmin, the way I think of it is up to in what really my colleagues seem to be saying is that close to 50% are in the 1 to 12 months bracket. So if you really look at it, yeah, 50% are already here. I'd like to think that 50% have already made the investments, and that's why it's not applicable. They are, we are very fortunate to have worked with very, how shall I say, visionary leaders like PID. So I'm sure a lot of them are already there. Yeah. And this is an evolving technology, so I'm sure they'll find the,
yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much. So Payadi, you tell me, how have you used learning technology to engage with the workforce, and how has it helped you so far?
Okay. Yeah. Next slide. Okay. So I think the good thing, one features that we use now, the Disperse. Okay, one features that made us interested into using that platform 1.5 years ago, especially because it could caters to different purposes. The first purposes is, well, in my slides here, and somehow it has something to do what Shweta just mentioned earlier, that being an organization coming from monopolistic era, like I said, and having some issue with the capabilities, competitiveness, etc., we need to make sure that organizations' capabilities has to be up because we need to achieve our KPIs. And if we have a very ambitious goals within 5 years to achieve our transformation goals, then we need to make sure that KPIs is monitoring very rigorously. And the platforms enables us to do the what so-called the company initiated training, because we want to have some blanket trainings, making sure that everyone go through that kind of capabilities improvement to achieve their year's target. That's one. And then the other features that we like is also in the Sweta's slide previously. We have to make sure that we could provide, we call it in the HR word, we call it the bench strength, the supply of talented people to fill the critical roles. And so we have the one that is, we call it exploitations, achieving KPIs, and explorations. This is something preparing for the futures. And if we look at the slide at the right side, yes, actually, the part of the exploitations coming down the organization hierarchy will be bigger, and coming up, explorations, explorative will be higher. And the solutions, I think, using technology, that's just very, what you call it, that makes that achieving this is is much easier. So looking back to the poll, I also wonder that there are some companies out there which haven't got the idea of how they like to use the technology, especially with the pandemic. Anyway, but that's certainly choice. But in this era, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, I think technology will play a very critical roles. Next slide. And this is what we have been doing so far. So on the exploitative, something which is to achieve our this year's KPI, we actually train the permanent workers and also the outsourced workers, like the security, etc. They are outsourced, and we use the platform to manage them as well, because somehow for the customers, they will not see whether the one in the outlets are the one in the outlets is coming from permanent workers or outsourced workers. So we have the goals to make sure that everyone having customer-facing roles have to come to a certain level of capabilities. We use the platform to run the exploitative training, and then we use also the platform, the technological platform, to do some more explorative. It is looking for seminars from Thunderbird, from INSEAD, etc. Something which is very much accessible from using the learning technology platform. And as you can see here, we have been doing it with a good success. Oh yeah, one other thing that I like to specifically mention is that we could also do the certifications using the technology. Actually, it's hybrid, because certifications mostly coming with the skills, with the technical skills. So the learning coming with the technology, but then when it comes to a practice, field practice, we put them separately in one of our 600 outlets to do the on-the-job training, and then examine there. And well, we have been doing it successfully. I think again, learning technology is something that we have to start right now, especially with the now rescaling and upscaling needs of our workers, and we have proven that. So I think that's what I like to say, Yasmin.
Thank you so much, Paiti. I think it's very interesting to know how you've actually defined your learning initiatives into exploitative and explorative. I think that's a very unique concept that we've got to learn today. And your success stories, I think you've done a great job. You've gonna come a long way in being able to develop those capabilities that are needed for the future of the workforce. So thank you for sharing these stories. Shweta, I'll come to you now. So how is Disperse's digital learning platform impacting an enterprise? Can you give us some examples?
Certainly. So I first of all agree with you. I think um, the way Pairi talked about the end-to-end thinking through of what happened at the Guardian, um, that's kind of exactly what we do with multiple organizations. We call it the skill stack, which is the skilling ecosystem. And I'm going to show you before I show you the presentation. Yeah, Garima, you can bring up all the little boxes. And while Garima brings it up, we have to start by looking at the bigger context, right? Yasmin, if you look at banking and financial industries, look at technology, right? Even before COVID, technology was accelerating and disrupting every single industry that you could think of. COVID has further accelerated it, right? Every single company in the world is today talking about, a post-pandemic revival, post-pandemic reskilling. So what are these skills? And if you go back to my joke, I don't know how I'm supposed to do my job. So the first thing is skill identification. What skills are needed for my role? And human resources functions, we used to do something called as competency mapping and competency frameworks, back in the day. I'm not going to tell you how long ago because I don't want to age or date myself. But we don't have the bandwidth today. Any organization, by the time you define a competency or a skill framework for your organization, the skill framework is actually moved because new skills have come in. So we use a dispersed skill framework. Every single role has a functional skill, a leadership skill, a digital skill, and a meta skill, what we call it, right? And using AI, we crawl the world's, literally the universe of jobs and roles to tell you what skills are relevant. So that's the first part. Then there's the skill assessment, right? So if Yasmin and Shweta are working together, Yasmin may have a different proficiency. She may be at a different level. Shweta is at a different level. You need to adjust for that. Right? So that's our skills architect, which is again our, sort of our product, the dispersed product. Then comes the actual skill building. And there again, pretty much like I always like to say, the way you want to, configure your iPhone and the way I want to configure my iPhone 10 is unique to you, unique to me. Similarly, the way you want to watch Netflix and I want to watch Netflix is unique. The same thing is with learning. And so our platform recognizes that, I need to learn for the organization based on these skills, but taking the learner into account. So learner preferences, what cognitive style the learner likes, all of that comes in. And again, like Paidi beautifully talked about, the exploitative, meaning I just do more of what I already know. And explorative is go learn new things and, kind of doing a beautiful blend. We use a lot of cognitive sciences there. We bring in the skill building. Again, like Paidi said, and I'm just borrowing a lot of what he said, learning, meaning just watching a video is just one part of it, right? Mentoring, coaching, micro experiences. This is the entire cognitive architecture of learning. We bring all of that on the platform, right? So that's essentially our entire skill building platform. We also have a content and facilitator aggregation. And here, Yasmin, I'd like to share with you, one of the things Disperse believes that a lot of the knowledge, asset knowledge actually resides in the organization itself. Now, how do you capture that content? How do you take that content and that knowledge and put it back on the platform? So we have content authoring tools. A lot of our clients, we have some very, very large, we have one of the largest petrochemical company in Malaysia. And some of the things they have actually done is the learners create the content and put it back on the platform. How beautiful it is. We have large retail companies, a very, very one of India's largest growing pharmaceutical company. Again, they use this feature very well. This also becomes very important, Yasmin, because the Disperse platform caters to what we call all colors of the collar. So it's a gray collar worker, a blue collar worker, a white collar worker, and God knows what colors will emerge in this new era. But so at every level, the kind of learning has to be different. So we do bring all of that into the whole skill building. So from an organizational point of view, and this is certainly a shout out to my CHROs and CLOs out there who are doing a heroic job trying to cope with this entire change. We bring all of this on a single platform. And then finally, like I said, end of the day, the CXO and the board is going to say, what was the impact? You spent all this money, whether it is a sales enablement platform, whether it is any investment begs for an ROI. And so that's where we have our entire skill impact. And it does two things, Yasmin. It not only shows you, of course, the ROI, but it also becomes a very critical input into the talent intelligence supply chain of the organization. So we show skill heat maps, right? And then you can see, oh, something is in red. Maybe I need to hire for it. We need to, we have a lot of green. We found one more organization and they did it so beautifully. They used our learning agility score. So we defined learning agility score as a combination of learning effectiveness, curiosity, which is what I already talked about, right? Exploitative, explorative. They have now brought it into their high potential calculation. So if you want to be a high potential employee, you need to have high learning agility. And how do you know high learning agility? It's all there on the system. So, whether you look, if you look at our client portfolio, Yasmin, I'm going to just take a last couple of minutes, whether it's a very large petroleum company or very large technology companies or banking and financial services companies where we have a very robust presence in whether it is Southeast Asia, India, Middle East, and other parts of the world, we find that the way enterprises are using our platform is to do both, to do well on the current job, so exploitative, what IID is, and explorative, getting ready for the next jobs. So they are identifying the next skills, what we call the next generation skills, and bringing all of this here. And of course, winning with technology, because in the end, no matter how much of, I think the COVID world has really shown that it is the team's potential, it is the team's learning. That is the only the only differentiator. So to my clients, to my colleagues who have rated, that they NA as the option, I hope that all of you have already invested in the learning platform. If not, do take this very, very seriously. It's something that is critical for the company's survival. That's how I look at it.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Shweta, for putting it across so well, so succinctly, starting from skill identification to assessment to building skill and finally measuring the impact. I think that's the entire learning journey put together. So I think this person is doing a great job at putting it all together. So thank you so much for sharing that. We have around 2 minutes left and we have a few questions from our audience that have already come up to me. So maybe I'll just quickly throw the first question, and it's come from Anshul Agarwal, who says, how can you bring e-learning in manufacturing kind of organizations, especially for frontline workers who do not have laptops and smartphones? Many of them do not have. So Pa, Edi, Shweta, just a few lines on that, please.
Sure. Edi, would you like to go first?
Okay, yeah, quick. Actually, certainly we do not have the line workers because we are services, okay? But we do have the, like I said, security guards. Security guards is, and we actually mandate them to have an e-learning using their smartphone. At first, I was asked, Pak, not every security guard, because you have to view it in terms of Indonesia. Okay? Indonesia is a very fast countries and coming from west to the east. And I said, look, anyone who like to work with PT Pegadaian has to have the smartphone. Because there is no way. I mean, like, come on. Technology is it disrupt us the most, especially financial services, and everyone has to be up to the using technology. So we force it. I got some resistance at first, but then we push, and you know what? The success rate was around 77%, meaning that out of 100, 77% pass the post test, which is good. And now they are now used to it. They know that if I like to apply for to become a security guard at Pegadaian, I have to have a smartphone. So I think we have to force it. We have to push it. Otherwise, then it will not work.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's all about helping them understand the importance of learning, and that's how they move forward in their journey. Shweta, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, like Payadi said, no matter whether they are workers, they have a phone and they're watching YouTube videos. If they can watch a YouTube video, they can invest that 5 minutes in learning. But he's right. Anshul is very right that, you will probably have shop floor situations where a smartphone is not even allowed. There, some of our clients actually use learning kiosks. You can actually create kiosks for the product and service training, give the workers logins. So during their shift changes, during their breaks, and you can actually, all you need to do is give them a 20-minute slot. They come in, they learn. 20 minutes is also too much, actually, Yasmin. In 15 minutes, we have people who come, learn that, little bit about the organization's new procedure, safety protocols, what is happening in COVID. And that's all. That's all you need. So possible. We have companies. So manufacturing uses learning kiosks. I think that's the easiest solution.
Great.
One more thing, Yasmin. One more thing. Just quick. One thing, the fact that we found is that actually after they passed the exams, they were very happy and they were very proud. They showed the e-certificates printed out and taken pictures. So actually, we bring everyone to a higher level. So I believe whether it's a line worker using a kiosk like Sweta said, I believe that will bring some satisfaction to the workers themselves.
Yes, I think it's motivating, it's engaging. They feel like they're a part of the larger, scheme of things in an organization. So thank you. Thank you for answering that question. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had for the questions from our audience. So if we have those other questions, we might just share them with Paidee and Shweta over email and get answers and reply to our audiences. So once again, yes, thank you, Paidee and Shweta, for sharing your insight. Indeed, it was a great conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure our audience got a lot of tips on what they can start and stop doing immediately for creating a continuous, learning culture, capability building in the organization. And the point of, I think, exploitative and explorative learning, I think that was really insightful. So everybody, do not forget to share your learnings with us on LinkedIn using the hashtag TechHRSCA. And now we are also going to start the main track 2. Join us in main track 2 for the session on managing performance for the hybrid workforce by Joydeep Bose from Olam International. You can stay in main track 1 for the next session on creating a purpose-driven culture by Dato Nora Mona from Maybank, Malaysia, Regan Taikitz-Pon from Marriott International, and Evangeline Chua from GovTech Singapore. So see you in the next sessions, everyone. Hope you're having a great time so far. Take care. Thank you, Paidee. Thank you, Shweta. Once again, it was a great time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy learning. Bye.